guys, we are now going to read chapter 8 in Our America. It's a pretty short chapter, kind of wraps everything up, but it's got a lot of good, important information in this chapter. So, we're going to be talking about tomorrow's America. And so, one thing that I want you to be looking for and listening for is the Gettysburg Address. In his Gettysburg Address, Abraham Lincoln said that the United States of America is a nation of the people, by the people, for the people. That means that America is the people who live here. Every American who has ever lived has been part of America's history in some way. If you are an American, you already have a role in America's story. How will you help your country? How will you make a difference? You can begin to help your country by being a good citizen. During the Civil War, many Americans, both Union and Confederate soldiers, lost their lives in the Battle of Gettysburg. When he dedicated Gettysburg National Cemetery, Abraham Lincoln gave an important speech to honor those who had died. And that's where he said the Gettysburg Address. Okay, good citizenship. Let's see if we can bring that up. As we have read about some of the people who have built America, we have seen many examples of what a good American citizen is. There are ways you can be a good American citizen as a young person. Keep learning about the United States and the people who made it free. Learn as much as you can about being an American patriot. Be proud to be an American. Be thankful for the blessings God has provided in this great land. Remember that many people do not have everything you might have. Think of ways to give to others. Be thankful for your freedom and use it to obey God. Help protect the freedoms of others by being a kind person. Keep our country beautiful by keeping it clean. Don't throw trash on the ground or in lakes or in streams. The Bible says, "Be kind one to another," in Ephesians 4:32, and love thy neighbor as thyself, Matthew 22:39. Let's turn the page. All right, so we're going to be looking for words like pedestrian and community, which is a group of people living in the same area. And you might remember learning about community when Mrs. Cole taught us junior achievement. All right, communities. It might seem like a big job to be a good citizen in such a big country. But if you begin in your own community, you will find many opportunities. Take good care of the area you live in. Be helpful and kind to the people in your community. What kind of community do you live in? Cities. Some cities are larger than others. Large cities are known as urban areas. If you live in a very large city, you might live in a tall apartment building that has many stories to it. There may be 100 or more families that live in your building. You may even ride an elevator to get to your apartment. You'd probably like to go to the park to enjoy the outdoors. Wherever your city might be, you can be sure it is a busy place to live. There might be many pedestrians walking from place to place or busy traffic. Some cities that are located near urban areas are called suburbs or suburban areas. In your city, you might live in a neighborhood and play in your backyard with the friends from your street. How could you help in a city? Towns. A town is smaller than a city. There are probably no large stores or malls in your town. Actually, there are where we live, right? But we don't live in a town, we live in a city. Instead, you might run errands with your family at small local shops. Maybe your parents stop to talk to the people who work there because they see your family often. If your town is small enough, your family could probably walk or ride bicycles to most of the places in your town. How could you help in a town? So there's plenty of towns in Nebraska. Can you think of some towns that don't have large stores or malls? All right, we'll turn the page. Rural, which means of the country or countryside. Rural communities. If you live in a rural community, you might live on a farm. The barn is probably the biggest building at your home. Your family may grow crops such as corn or wheat to sell. You probably have animals that live at your farm. Some of them might be pets. Others might be livestock. There may be cows to milk or horses to ride. Living at a farm means you have plenty of room to run and play. How could you help on a farm? So think about it. What can you do to be a good citizen in your community? So now we're on the next page. We're looking at Constitution and privilege. The privilege to pray. The best way to help your country is to pray for it. Ask God to keep our country strong. Ask God to help us be a people who love Him and want to do what is right. In 2 Chronicles 7:14, it says, "If my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Our great leaders have prayed for their country. General George Washington prayed before leading the American army against the British. When our country was fighting the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln prayed, "O God, hear me and save this nation." When the leaders of our country met to write the Constitution, Benjamin Franklin asked that each meeting be opened with prayer. We can turn the page. I know I've learned about Abraham Lincoln, and he would actually be in his office super early in the morning. And I can't remember how much time, if it was like 45 minutes or an hour, but his secretary was not to allow anyone in during that first part of his day because he was using that time to pray, which I thought was very interesting. All right, and so now we're going to be looking for words like authority and profession, which means a job or a career. Pray for the leaders of America, such as the President of the United States, and all the men and women making the laws of our land. The Bible says the prayers be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority. And that's in 1 Timothy 2, 1 through 2. Perhaps one day you will be a leader. Be a faithful learner now so that you will be ready for whatever profession God calls you to. Because you live in America, you have the freedom to choose a profession. What could you be? The privilege to serve. God has a special plan for your life. He will help you to become the person He has created you to be. He wants to use you to make a difference in this great land of liberty, our America. And that is it for our America. So, we'll be doing a review in a little bit for the test, the last test for this book. Make sure that once you're done reading this book that you return it. And I hope you learned a lot about the history of our country.